In today's video, we are going to take a look at the week that was in the NFL. Lamar Jackson is out here living his best life. The Ravens miss on a golden opportunity, and DeSean Jackson out here fearing for his life. All this and more coming up.
I gotta fight every night to prove my love. Now.
All right, this week in the NFL, we are less than 100 days before the start of the NFL season and its first game where the Baltimore Ravens take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, to some, it's not a big deal, but being that this offseason is so long within the NFL, being under triple digits is a big deal. And we're going to talk about some relevant things that are leading up to what is to happen before the season starts. First of all, we're going to talk about the second week of OTAs with the Baltimore Ravens. Now that the second week has concluded, the Ravens have a better idea of what they're going to have on the roster. Some people put a lot of stock into what happens in OTAs. I myself, good nor bad, couldn't care less either way. You have guys out there in shorts and a t-shirt running around. Now, players can put their athleticism on display, showing how much they learn and how much knowledge they have with the playbook, but as far as making plays against other NFL teams, it to me is not that big a deal. Unless you get out there with the live bullets, unless you're out there playing against other competition, you do not really know what you have. But the most important topic about OTAs is Lamar Jackson and him not being a part of the 2 weeks of OTAs. Now, he was there for the first day. He has missed the other 4 practices that were open to the media. Is this a big deal? Lamar Jackson has missed time in the past and he has played okay. But I do think being the second season in the Todd Monken system, getting acclimated to newer players, trying to get a chemistry with Derrick Henry as far as handoffs go, where he likes the ball, I think all time is good time. Now, we've seen Lamar Jackson in Preakness. We've seen him out at NASCAR outings. I guess Lamar believes that he knows enough of this playbook and he feels comfortable enough that he doesn't have to be here. Now, I guarantee you when mini camps start, when training camps start, he's going to be there. Not unless there is some contention going on with the Ravens, who knows? But head coach John Harbaugh does not seem happy about this. He said he was only going to speak about the players that were in attendance. He's not going to speak about the players that are not there. And we've heard this before from coaches talking about players that have not showed up to voluntary workouts. And yes, these workouts are voluntary. So whereas others may put stock into him not being there, it's not really that big a deal as long as he is ready to play come the first week of the season. Now, talking about players that may or may not be ready for the beginning of the season, John Harbaugh also spoke about David Ojabo and his availability coming back off of another injury. Now, he said he is graduated to being ready to come back for training camp. He doesn't expect to see him anytime before then, but he thinks that he will be ready for the season. This to me is a big season for David Ojabo, being this is going to be his 3rd season in the NFL. Hopefully he can play a full season because the Ravens are in desperate need of pass rushers, especially with losing Jadeveon Clowney. They're going to need that production to come from somewhere else. Now, I know the Ravens have re-signed Kyle Van Noy, but is he going to be enough? Kyle Van Noy is 33 years old, coming off a career year. Can he replicate what he did last season? We don't know. Let's just hope that David Ojabo proves he's the player that the Ravens wanted when they drafted him. Speculated to be a top 15 pick, being injured during the NFL Combine kind of derailed his career. Hopefully he can get it back on track, but we really don't know. So in conjunction with the Ravens not knowing what's going to happen, the Ravens this week signed 2 players, one directly to the active roster. Now, the Ravens have signed defensive tackle DeSean Jackson. The 6'1", 305-pound defensive tackle has spent 3 seasons with the Atlanta Falcons. He spent the last 2 seasons on the practice squad with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think this may be a depth move, maybe a training camp body. Who knows? I'm not thinking that the Ravens are going to expect much from him unless they are not satisfied with what they have on the defensive line currently. Now, in 37 games, Jackson has 52 tackles, 1 sack, and 1 fumble recovery. Not a lot of production for a player that has been in the league for 5 seasons, but once again, we're not expecting him to come in and be a starter. Also, the Ravens have signed nose tackle Josh Tapua, the 6'3", 340-pound nose tackle, has spent 6 seasons in the NFL, all with the division rival Cincinnati Bengals. Josh does have starting experience, starting 23 out of the 63 games that he's played in the NFL. He has 86 tackles, 2 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. So if there were something to happen to one of the defensive line, he can come in and provide a little bit of depth. I don't know how much, but when you're practicing in the dog days of summer, you do not want to wear out your starters and have them susceptible to injuries. But once again, the Ravens decided we need more defense. We're not going to worry about the offensive side. We're going to let them do what they do and handle it however they're going to handle it. And to me, the Ravens also missed out on a golden opportunity. Now, when I got the notification that the Ravens signed a player, I was hoping and I was thinking that they were going to sign guard Dalton Risner. But unfortunately, Dalton Risner re-signed with the Minnesota Vikings on a one-year deal, heavily laden with incentives. He can make a nice bit of change depending upon the number of games he plays and the accolades that he receives. This to me would have been some sort of comfort to a lot of Ravens fans knowing that we had at least one experienced guard going into training camp. But let's not forget, this is the time of year that all Ravens fans have been waiting for, because tomorrow is June 1st. It is going to be the beginning of the post-June 1st cuts, and the Ravens are waiting on bated breath to see which players get released. I know a lot of people have been waiting for this time because they're hoping that teams let go of some players that are still good, but maybe a little bit too expensive for what the teams have right now, and the Ravens can come in and scoop them up on some cheap veteran deal. I just feel like the Ravens missed out on a golden opportunity to upgrade this offensive line to protect their most valuable commodity. But as usual, the Ravens went defense. I'm pretty sure they're still going to go defense because as of right now, the Ravens do need that third safety to take over for the departure of Geno Stone. We may have that player on the roster, but as of this moment here, we really don't know. So June 1st, we're expecting, or at least I'm expecting to see the Ravens at least sign a safety. Now, one of the events happening around the NFL that to me is possibly good news is with the start of the second week of OTAs, one of the Ravens' biggest rivals and the Cincinnati Bengals are without two of their prominent stars for OTAs. Wide receivers T. Higgins and Jamar Chase have not reported. Even though the training is voluntary, they were at least hoping or expecting that Jamar Chase would be there. Now, T. Higgins is a whole different story because he has been franchise tagged and said he wanted to be traded from the team. But being that he has not signed his tender, he is not required to show up for any offseason activities until that contract is signed. But you really don't know if Jamar Chase does not want to be there, or is he angling for a new contract, because he is eligible to get a contract extension right now rather than go in and play the season and wait to see if they pick up the fifth-year option, which of course they would. He wants to get paid right now. That is the word that's out on the street. Don't know how much validity there is to this story, but to me, weakening a division rival who got stronger a little bit offensively with building up their offensive line, will take anything that we can get. And also in other wide receiver news, the Houston Texans have signed Nico Collins, wide receiver, to a 3-year, $72.5 million extension with $52 million guaranteed. They're locking up one of their younger stars, the one wide receiver that dominated last season, especially when Tank Dell went down. He had a career high 80 receptions, 1,296 yards and 8 touchdowns. Now you pair him with Stephon Diggs, and this gives that Houston Texans team a lethal offense to deal with. Then you throw in Tank Dell, tight end Dalton Schultz, and with the addition of Joe Mixon, this team could be really scary. Now, when you thought that that news was done, and the Dolphins also themselves extended wide receiver Jalen Waddle to a 3-year, $84.7.5 million deal. This deal has $76 million guaranteed 76 mil. The Miami Dolphins aren't playing around when it comes to their offense. They already have Tyreek Hill locked up for 30 mil a year. Now this puts Jalen Waddle right there behind him at an average of about 28.4 million per season, which makes them the most expensive wide receiver room in the NFL. Jalen Waddle has posted 1,000 yards receiving in each of his first 3 seasons, and the Miami Dolphins were smart enough to lock him up before that price got any higher. When looking at it, that makes you look at the Rashad Bateman deal, who also received an extension this offseason, but his extension is worth around 3 years, $15.7 million in totality. Now, I know Rashad has said, listen, he feels blessed to know he has some security, he has some stability in knowing where he's going to be. But to me, this kind of tells you the level of wide receiver that you're dealing with. You have these two guys who are making in excess of $70 million on their extension, and Rashad Bateman got $15 million total. Hopefully this is the season that Rashad Bateman breaks out. Don't know if we want him to break out too much, because if he outplays this contract, is this going to bring some strife within the organization? This just reminds me of the Scottie Pippen situation with the Chicago Bulls, where he himself wanted financial stability and he signed a contract that he shouldn't. Even though he was one of the top 10, top 15 players in the NBA, that contract did not play out well, and he and the team butted heads. So hopefully Rashad can ball out, be happy with his money. But to me, this just tells the Ravens offense in a nutshell. You're paying a pivotal piece to your passing attack $5 million a year. And I know he hasn't done anything more to prove that he deserves an upper tier contract, but at least I think they should have let him play out the season to see where things stand. Then you can give him fair compensation for what he's done over a 3-year period. But if he does ball out, kudos to the Ravens, locked up a young player who is going to produce for them for at least the next 3 seasons. And last, we're going to talk about DeSean Jackson. DeSean Jackson was recently on the podcast, and he spoke about the time that he came across the middle and he saw Ray Lewis on the other side, and he feared for his life. The story to me was a little bit hilarious, especially by him saying, I'm not a scary dude, but I saw him and was like, this might not end well. So take a listen.
2-on-1 game. So Ray Lewis, I ran like a little drag route, and I had caught like a pass. And on the way of me catching this pass, this might, and I ain't no scary dude. This might be one of the most scariest moments I ever had, because when I caught that ball, I thought I was dead. I was praying, crossing fingers, all type of shit. Like, bro, please don't kill me. I caught this pass, and I ain't get hit, and I ran out of bounds because he was kind of like chasing me. I ran out of bounds. He was like, young fella, I love your game. I ain't gonna kill you. I said, who? I said, boy, this Ray Lewis telling me he love my game, he ain't gonna kill me. I'm like, thank you, Lord.
All right, appreciate you guys for rocking out with your boy. As you can see, we're diving a little bit more into the realm of the NFL as a whole. In the future, this channel is going to change a bit. You're going to see more of a focus on sports rather than just the Baltimore Ravens. I hope you guys understand, but as far as the growth of this channel, as far as the growth of the brand and everything that we're trying to do, we're just not seeing the growth that we should be in just the Baltimore Ravens realm. So it's going to be more soccer, it's going to be more basketball, it's going to be more just sports in general. I'm not going to go to baseball. It's just one thing I won't do.
No, I won't do that.
And hopefully you guys will understand this has to be done, because the support right now, it just isn't there. And just to make things worth all the effort and time that is put into this channel, put into these videos, something has to change, because the trajectory that we are going in right now, math just ain't mathing. And I do apologize, but hey, this is for the better. This is for the new. I know my core people are going to stick around. Hopefully the rest of you do, and we're going to add more people to this community. So stay tuned, because we have a lot of things in store for you. And also, don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And if you wish to support the channel, make sure you go over to patreon.com/ROUG, become a patron, join the budding community that we are building, and get in on the ground up, because we got a lot of stuff in store. We have a lot of things, a lot of promotions that we're going to start rolling out, in a lot of ways that we're going to help the people that have committed to us and committed to helping us grow. So until then, just remember, that much closer to football. And until next time,